Hey, everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Diamond Discussion. I am your host, Demetrius Woods, and today we're going to talk about a few situationals as we get ready for the upcoming travel ball season. We'll talk about the latest conversations surrounding the screwball specifically, as well as I'm going to go over a few things that I do to prepare my team and myself for our season. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey guys, welcome again to the show. So if you're watching on video, you can see I'm at a different location here. Actually down in Fort Lauderdale this week with my family, getting a chance to watch a little bit of hockey, hang out with my wife and daughter. So just a little mini vacation here before we start the season. So pumped up about that. But let's jump right into college softball because right now it is as hot as it's ever been in terms of just the atmosphere surrounding the game, the buzz and whatnot. And we just had some tournament action over this past weekend. If you got a chance to turn on ESPN, ESPN2, the SEC network, you saw some great ball happening. I know we got robbed on Sunday because of the rain down in Clearwater, Florida, but there were a couple of matchups that boy, they were tough to watch, honestly, because you kind of saw a couple of things take place that were a little bit controversial on the umpiring side, which that's a human part of the game. But no, I think about Florida State, which if you've watched a few episodes here lately, you know that Florida State is my current pick to knock off OU's opportunity to win it all again. And but man, Florida State this past weekend got knocked down by number 4 Georgia and number 20 UCLA, which the four Georgia was not as much of a shocker. The score was a shock, but Georgia beating Florida State wasn't as much of a shock to me as it was as UCLA was. And oddly enough, I kind of got some cause to pause here for a second because I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the full games, but I'm a little concerned, man, with the Florida State pitching staff. Not gonna lie to you, because they played some football score games. The Georgia game, Georgia beat them 20-10, and Georgia had 14 runs after 2 innings, which was crazy. And then I think UCLA beat them 14-10. Right, so you got two football scores down. Obviously, Florida State's putting up runs themselves, scoring 10 in each of those games. But giving up 20 and 14 is a lot. Now, Georgia and UCLA, both high-powered offenses, but the Florida State's going to have to figure some things out with their pitching staff and get some things together to be able to compete against true top 20, top 15, 10 teams, because the ACC is no slouch. When it comes to softball right now, I think there's some really good squads out there. Clemson creeping in there as well too. So I think there's some good squads, and Florida State will certainly be tested in the ACC. I do not think that at all that they're going to be a lock to win it, to win that ACC championship when the time comes later this spring. So that was a big one. Of course, I got to mention my LSU Tigers, man. Number 12 ranked team in the country right now. I know that's going to change after the latest victory against Oklahoma State, which was ranked number 8 at the time, over this past weekend, and they won this one in walk-off fashion. They already had a high-scoring game earlier in the tournament. I can't remember who it was against, but they won. Oh, Northwestern. It was 13-12 against Northwestern. They won that game late and then walked it off against Oklahoma State. Of course, my girl Taylor Pleasance went like 2 for 3 with a walk. Gutierrez, man, dropped a bomb in that game. So a lot of fun, man, surrounding LSU Tigers. A gentleman, if you don't know him, go look him up on Instagram. Mr. Beat Everybody is his tag. We're gonna have him on the show hopefully within the next couple of months. Big time LSU fan surrounding all of the sports. But man, he goes out. He's actually from Georgia, and he goes out to Baton Rouge, man, and supports those Tigers like nobody's business. So shout out to Mr. Beat Everybody. Can't wait to have him on the show. D'Angelo Sanchez. Looking forward to that one. And then Stanford and Texas both take down the number 2 ranked team in the nation, Tennessee, which was crazy. Now, those were both one-run losses for Tennessee. So, and again, Stanford, number 9, Texas obviously number 3 right now. So again, no slouch teams at all. I wouldn't call those upsets. And when you got two top 10 team ranked programs going head to head, either one of them can win that game, because to me top 10 is very cramped right now and anything goes, minus an OU situation. I think anybody beating OU right now would be considered an upset. But Tennessee, man, going down twice. Again, I think we got robbed this past weekend though with the rain, because Sunday was going to feature an LSU Washington matchup, and Kelly Lynch was going to get an opportunity to face her former team in Washington right away. And then we were going to get a Tennessee Florida State matchup, which both of those teams lost early in the tournament, as I just mentioned, and they were supposed to be playing each other on Sunday, and we were going to see a number 2 versus a number 5 right there. But anyway, all that to be said, college softball is going hard right now to start this season. My LSU Tigers holding strong at 8-0. Hopefully, they're going to be able to creep into the top 10 soon. And let's see what shakes out, man. These rankings that come out each and every week, you never know what it's going to look like. So I'm pumped up about that. So another thing I want to mention is 'cause I don't want to gloss over our baseball guys right away. So very interesting here, and if you look at the college baseball preseason poll right now, you've got 6 SEC teams in the top 9. And I wrote it down here. You got number 2, Florida. You got number 3, Arkansas. Number 4, LSU. Obviously, the defending champions. Can't fail to mention that. And then number 6, Vandy. Texas A&M at number 8, and then number 9, Tennessee. That is a log jammed SEC situation right there, because of course, it's going to be a scenario where they're going to beat up on each other. A couple of those guys are going to fall out of the top 10 probably pretty quickly, but you've got 3 in the top 4, right? I mean, you got Wake Forest leading the way out of the ACC, as they should. I think Wake Forest is probably going into the season. They're definitely the best team in the program and in the country. But I know Vandy's going to have something to say about that, as they do every single year. But the baseball, man, it's going to be some high level competition going on, specifically in the SEC. And once tournament time comes around, SEC tournament, I think it's anybody's game. And there's a couple of teams outside the top 9, top 10 as well, in the SEC that are going to probably have a few things to say about these rankings. So pumped up about that, guys. But I want to talk a little bit about, it's not really controversy, but it's been a conversation lately back on the softball side, specifically surrounding the screwball, and that's a lot of S's right there. But the screwball right now has garnered a lot of judgment, really, which has been kind of odd to think about, because when do we ever really have problems with any pitch? I mean, a lot of girls throw the screw, the curve, the drop, obviously fastball, changeup, rise, but screwball lately has get taken some hits, because a lot of folks are saying right now, they're asking the question, is it even an effective pitch? And I want to talk about that for a second, because I've got a number of players that I've gotten the opportunity to coach who do throw a screwball, and I think they throw it effectively. And with any pitch out there, guys, maybe minus the fastball, it's got to have movement, right? In order for it to be effective, it's got to have some movement to it. And I always look at the screwball as the counterpart to the curveball, right? If you've got a righty throwing a screwball, then that ball's going to run in on the hands of a righty batter. And I think you can get that screwball in there close enough to a righty batter without hitting her, right? So that's one way I feel like the screwball can be effective, is because you can run it in and it's not going to go too much, right? It doesn't move like the curveball moves. And I think that's where a lot of the buzz or conversation is coming out of this, is that, does it even move that much? Well, yeah, it can, if you throw it, the right way, right? So I think you look at the total package of the pitcher, right? Because if she has a screwball, a curveball, a changeup, right, even a drop ball, that package deal right there can be very, very dangerous. I mean, of course, the screwball does drop, but it can have a tail to it as well. So I think that it's one to take a look at this season, especially in the college realm, because folks are throwing it to me at a high level. Now, I've seen a couple of people on social media talking about, you know, it's a bad form pitch, which I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with that. If you look at the form of pitchers right now that throw the screwball well, it's just a different look, and it's the only thing that I would say on that front is maybe you should consider, pitching coaches out there, or even you pitchers, dialing it back if you are if you're not a teenager yet. I would say that. So if you're 8U, 10U, 12U right now, should you be throwing a screwball? Should you be learning the screwball? I would say no right now. Maybe tinkering with it at the end of 12U, but because it's a bad form pitch and it goes against the form of all of your other pitches, it's a tough one to learn. And I think about a player right now. She's a senior right now on my travel ball program, Mackenzie Burnett. She actually just sent me video this week of her throwing the screwball, and I think, first of all, Max form in general with all of her pitches to me are very, very good. They're very crisp. She's a very by the book, so to speak, clean throwing pitcher, and her screwball falls in that vein. I think she's gotten the form down very, very well. And I may share the link if she'll allow me. I may share the link to her video clip of her throwing a screwball on our YouTube channel in the comment section, just so that you guys can see that. But I think ultimately, though, it's a bad form pitch, and if you're young, you shouldn't be learning it right now. But outside of that, as you get into your teenage years and you want to learn that screwball, and if you're a righty pitcher and you want to have something that can truly run in on the hands of a righty batter, I say go for it. So again, that's the conversation around the screwball right now. I want to know what you guys have to say about that. So maybe drop a comment or two if you're in the pitching world, or if you know a little bit more about that pitch specifically. Like, let us know what you think about that, because I do feel like there's a fine line between learning that too soon, but also not learning it too late, to where maybe you don't ever really get it down because of the difference in the form that you have to get it done. So we're going to take a quick break though, guys, and once I return, we're going to go into some open book segment questions right from you, and see what we can do from there. So give me one quick second, and we'll be right back. Okay, guys, welcome back to the show. So, again, jumping into the open book segment here, got 4 questions for you guys. And this first one is from David G. And he says, what softball bats do you recommend and not recommend? So, I'm going to be real quick on this one, because I'm a pretty straightforward guy when it comes to softball bats. I am team Louisville Slugger all day long. Here's why. One, I truly believe that it's got just as much pop as any other bat. Now, again, I know that's a personal preference, but I feel like it's a great bat. It can truly drive the ball. Like, it's I think it's constructed well. Um, but I also love, which the main thing I love about it is its durability, right? Its durability is second to none, in my opinion. Like, I've seen Louisville Sluggers dang near go a decade, and again, they don't have the same pop that it would in year 10 as it would in year 1 or 2. However, it's a bat that lasts a long time, and it's a solid one. And so Louisville Slugger, if you know like brands or anything like that, like the Wilson brand, kind of it makes Louisville Slugger, DeMarini, the Evo Shield brand, all of that is tied into the Wilson umbrella, right? And so just as much as I like Louisville Slugger, I can't say hate, but I strongly dislike the DeMarini brand. I really don't like the two-piece setup that DeMarini has featured for a long time. And it sounds different. It's just a bat that sounds dead from Jump Street, which is kind of weird. But um, so sorry, DeMarini, I'm not a fan. I know there's some college ball players. I know there's some Olympic athletes who live and die by DeMarini, man. But I've struggled with it. And on the baseball side, DeMarini away. But on the softball side right now, in my opinion, DeMarini is not it. Now, the elephant in the room is the Easton Ghost. And I just think it's a waste of money. I really do. I've seen way too many. I've talked to college coaches. I've sat in college coaches' offices. And over in the corner, I've seen 15, 20, 25 ghosts shattered after just a fall ball season, right? And most college teams only play what 10, 20 games in a college in a fall ball season, even, right? So they're shattering a bat per game, So again, the Ghost, man, I know that they've got warranties on them and whatnot, and you can replace them, but a bat that you have to replace consistently after 3 to 6 months is just I'm not a fan of it. So again, the ball pops off the bat. If Louisville Slugger is 1B, then I would say Ghost is probably 1A in terms of pop. But that pop is definitely not worth $400 or $500, when you got to replace it after a few months either. So that's my opinion on that one. Next question here is from Tony C. And Tony asks, do you find value in doing team bonding activities? And my girls would probably chuckle if they're listening to this part because they're like, oh, heck yeah, he does. And that is a definite yes for me. Of course, within reason, though. And I think about team bonding as something that allows you to be able to create a little bit of chemistry off the field. And something I always tell my players is that I want you to know each other in t-shirt and blue jeans just as well as you know each other, in your jerseys on the field, right? However, I believe that there has to be some give and take on that, right? Because it can't always be on the coaching staff to create those team bonding opportunities. Like I'm all for our players owning that themselves, right? If you guys want to go get together on a Sunday or a random Wednesday or whatever the case may be to go hang out, grab dinner, go bowling, do whatever, I'm all in on that, man. You go have a sleepover, whatever you want to do, like go for it. But then I think there's also opportunities where the coaching staff should create that and manufacture, and that may mean compromising some practice time to do that, which is okay in my opinion. I feel like these girls they grind and they go battle, and a lot of times they do that for each other and for the coach and for the team. I think they should have some team time carved out with the coaching staff involved to be able to do that. So I really do value team bonding. And whatever the case, whatever it is, like it can be going and doing an activity together, like bowling, or we've done bowling, we've done top golf, we've done escape rooms, we've gone to Six Flags, and if you know our team at all, you probably know about the Maya story, which she'll probably get on to me for bringing her up. But if you don't know the Six Flags Maya story, I won't tell it right now, but just we'll we'll delay that one for later. But anyway, so we do a lot of team bonding on with our with my Elite Diamond softball program for sure, and a lot of that is coach led. Our coaching staff puts that together. So again, I found value in that, but you got to make sure that you find your spots. You pick your pockets to do that, and do it in an environment where it's truly going to be effective. One thing I found our last Top Golf outing was a little bit on a whim because we got rained out of a tournament, and so we did Top Golf and we did lunch, and lunch was great. Top Golf was fun, but it wasn't our best Top Golf outing. And one of our players even brought this up to me. It was because everybody kind of had their phones out. It was very it was chill as it always is. But again, we just had our phones out a lot more than I would have wanted us to, as well as some of the players, right? And so I think everybody didn't have to push their phones to the middle of the table or be in a basket or anything like that. But I think doing things team bonding wise, team outing wise, that are going to encourage conversations, interactions, things like that. And so I think Top Golf and bowling, just the nature of those um, outings are a lot of sitting. It's like, okay, one person goes up and does it. It's competition, but sometimes it doesn't always promote conversation. If the phones are out as well. So anyway, beating that dead horse. Team bonding, definitely important to me as a coach. All right, next question. Macy T is the asker of this one, and so she says here, how do you prepare your team for the season, and how do you prepare as a coach for the season? So, in terms of preparing my team, specifically for the spring season, because to me that's our true like season. I mean, fall ball is a season, obviously, but to me, I look at fall ball as kind of a preparation season. We do a lot of scrimmaging exhibitions with college programs. We do a couple of tournaments as well, but it's not our longer season. It's usually like a six, maybe at most it's an 8 week season. Because here in Georgia, it's coming right on the heels of school ball, and so school ball typically doesn't wrap up until the middle of October for our girls who make a championship run in the playoffs, and so usually our first tournament or our first event isn't until week 2 or 3 of October, and then we're wrapping up early December. So anyway, spring ball is where I look to really gear up for our season, and we kind of have that time to focus. And so a lot of times though, I'm a firm believer in rest and rehabilitation and making sure our ladies their bodies are in good shape to be able to prepare for that grind. And so part of that is after we're done mid-December, typically, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm cool if you don't even touch a softball for a month, 6 weeks, whatever, till mid-January, something like that. Now, again, some of them are going to their last lessons, and sometimes their lessons are with me. But something once a week, okay, that's fine. But getting out there 4 or 5 times a week, through the winter time, I'm totally okay if you take the gloves off, put the bat away, and take a true rest with your body. Because if you look at it, like a lot of our girls, they're going hard from like February to December, between travel ball and school ball. So getting a true rest for a couple of months, nothing wrong with that at all. But one thing I do though is what we call winter workouts. And so if you're watching this the day that it drops here today on Thursday, like um, our girls are about to submit their final week of winter workout reports tomorrow. And winter workouts this season has consisted of I'll give them a mental task, whether it be reading a book or recording a video. This year I which was this was awesome. So they did a great job with it. But I had them record a 3 to 5 minute video for some of our younger players in our organization of just them giving some hitting tips. And man, the girls, they did a heck of a job with it. I thought they went above and beyond the Call of Duty. They were all true to themselves. Their personalities, whether it was goofy or serious or anything in between, like it was shining in that video. And but they also gave some really good nuggets and some really good just tips in general on how they approach their at bats. And they also, some of them even took the time to give some mental advice too, which was great. So anyway, so I do mental training with them during winter workouts. We do some physical stuff, whether it be yoga or workouts, exercises or running, anything in that realm. Of course, there's a softball component to it where, they're probably going to get some cuts off the tee, do some long tossing, whatever the case may be on that front. And, we're also kind of a spiritual group, not kind of, we are a spiritual group, and we don't shy away from our faith. And so they also have an optional spiritual task that they can engage in as well, not only by themselves, but with their teammates or with me as their coach or with the rest of our staff. So that's kind of what winter workouts looks like. It's very honor system based. And so they have to report on every Friday of kind of what they did and what they learned. And they have some tasks and things like that. But again, usually I found out real quickly if they were able to do what they were asked in winter workouts by way of what we call spring training weekend, which is coming up this weekend actually for them starting tomorrow. And I am so pumped for this. I know some of the girls are really excited about it as well. This is the third year we've done spring training weekend, and basically it is 48 hours of strong mental, physical softball, a little bit of spiritual training as well. And it's Friday at 6 p.m. all the way to Sunday at 6 p.m. They're all together. We're staying in a house together as a team, and we're just grinding for 48 hours. And in that 48 hours, they're probably going to get a maximum of 12 hours of sleep, I would say. So it's a lot. It's a grind, and they're gonna be playing a college team at the end of it when they're at their most tired. Playing just a scrimmage game. They're gonna play a couple of games against our younger teams as well during that stretch, and they'll be doing some other things that I won't mention right now. But it's gonna test them. It's gonna challenge them. And I do this for a specific reason. One, I do this to see one, what their bodies are feeling like and looking like coming off of winter workouts. But I also do this just to challenge them and push them to kind of give them a feel for what a grind can truly look like in a very compact amount of time. And so I'm pumped up about it. It starts with a photo shoot though, so it's they'll have fun with that. They'll bring some props and have fun with the photo shoot and get after it on that front. But after that photo shoot, it's a lot of it's a lot of toughness. So anyway, spring training weekend's a big piece, and of course we jump into practices after that, and then we start our season, man, early March. So it's coming up on us pretty quickly, and I'm pumped up about it. All right, last question here, which Caden S. This is from Caden S. And when I read this question, I honestly had to think a little pretty hard about this one. And there is one that genuinely rises to the top on this one. But here's the question. It says, "What's been your favorite softball tournament you've coached in?" And guys, this is year 5, I think, for me, 5 or 6 or whatever. But man, I have a very good memory when it comes to our softball tournaments, and so I remember a lot of details about each and every individual tournaments. And these again, as a coach, man, I'm always excited about the little victories that our players have had, and so I can point to a lot of different moments where I was just over the moon for a player. Whether it was a breakthrough moment or whatever the case may have been in that time, like I've got a lot of exciting moments to think through, right, as a coach. But I'll mention one specific tournament, and this one was back in the summer of 2022, and so we had we always do, but we had an amazing group of seniors that year. But for whatever reason, that year in our World Series, our very last tournament of the season, we were down to just 9 players, and we always carry 15. We were down to 9. I think we had some youth camps. We had, just various reasonings, injuries, even why we were down to just 9 players. And at that point, we had 2 teams going down to Gulf Shores, Alabama, for the USSSA World Series. We had our gold team that was playing in the A division, and our black team that was playing in the B division, or whatever, however they gold, silver, whatever it was. And so again, we were down to 9 players, and we only had 2 pitchers for the tournament. We had a third as well who came in and spared us some innings. Kenzie Diaz, who you heard me talk about a lot. Like, she can literally play 1 through 9, finding her own as a starting shortstop, by the way, at Point University. So proud of her. But Kenzie was our third pitcher, but she really isn't a pitcher for us. But our 2 pitchers, though, Grayson Gurley and Kayla Carter, y'all, they just traded games, and it was that simple. Like, I had one throw one game, the other throw the other game, boom, 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 they were going back. And Grayson Gurley's at Columbus State now. Kayla Carter's at Payne College, but that was Grayson's first tournament back after an injury back in May that she dealt with. So 2 months had gone by. That was her first tournament back. So she was, at best, I would say, 80% of herself, and she's a legit pitcher. And so 80% of her is better than 100% of a lot of folks out there. But you could see by the end of the tournament, she was, it was coming after her, just that grind and the fatigue and whatnot that was coming out of that. Our catcher at the time, Carly Caruth, who ended up going out to play ball in Arizona. She's back in Georgia now, working and building a life with her family. But man, Carly, she'd taken some time off. She was actually going to essentially retire from the game, or at least travel ball wise. And so she'd taken a couple of months off. and it just worked out financially and that kind of thing, where she was able to, come back and be a part of that World Series with us, which was exciting. Our leadoff batter, Maddie Speaks, who you guys know a lot about at this point. She was coming off of an injury in practice. I think it was our second or third practice before the tournament had began. She'd injured her ankle, so it was just a lot going on. Of course, I do a lot of scouting, and on paper we were outmatched by at least 4 or 5 teams in that tournament. And y'all, we went 1-1 in pool play, so it was a 2 pool double elimination setup. And so we went 1-1 in pool play, and then proceeded to rattle off 5 straight wins once bracket play rolled around to put ourselves into the championship game. And when I tell y'all, man, they just absolutely grinded. Like the grit, I don't know whatever word you want to think about, grit, fight, determination, just the will to win. Those girls had it, and they were on it, man. It was exciting. Kyra Dobler, who I talked about last week about retiring her jersey. That was her last tournament with us. Haley Huberry, who I don't think I've talked about on the show yet, man, but she came alive that tournament, and just played out of her mind as the very last tournament for herself as well. She was an outfielder for us. Ended up being a switch hitter, learning how to slap on the left side as well. So just a lot of amazing experiences in that tournament. And I feel like that was one of my favorites, mainly because I we were undermanned. And, crazy enough, like Maddie Speaks, for example, right now, she's the starting shortstop at Piedmont University, and big shout out to her. But, like, she was not a shortstop for us at all. She was mainly an outfielder, and she had to play shortstop every single game that tournament. Allie Ray Dobler, Kyra's younger sister, suited up at first base every single game. Like, everybody was where they had to be every single game of the tournament. And so it was a lot of fun. We had no room for error in terms of injuries. The girls just they fought like heck, man, all weekend long, and I can't be more proud of that group of girls for that specific weekend and the performance they put on. Of course, a lot of tears at the end of one. At the end of that one, we ended up losing the tournament to the one team, the team that beat us in pool play out of Indiana. They had to beat us twice in the championship game, and they ended up doing it. No excuses at all, but you could tell the fatigue, the wear and tear on the group of 9 that we had was pretty evident. And I think we ended up starting that game real late, like 10 o'clock at night. We'd had some rain down in Gulf Shores as well. That kind of delayed us into the night late there. But again, that was just a fun time, a fun tournament to be a part of as a coach. And the girls, they laid it all out on the line, and they deserved. I think the trophy, man, was like dang near up to. I'm not that tall. I'm like 5'7", 5'8", but the trophy was like up dang to my torso as well. And I think Kyra Dobler ended up taking it home as the MVP of the tournament. But we could have given out 9 MVP trophies, honestly, that weekend, because those girls were amazing. So anyway, to answer your question, that was probably my favorite tournament to be a part of. Hopefully, those open book segment questions were fun to listen to for you guys. Please continue to add or to ask your questions on our Instagram page, or I know a lot of you have just messaged me directly as well. So feel free to jump in on those. But we're going to take one more break, and then I'm going to talk specifically about some situationals, because I know we're all jumping into, I say we all, travel ball folks, we're jumping into our preseasons. Baseball here in Georgia is up and running as well from a school ball standpoint as well. So we're all about to be in season mode, pretty hot and heavy here, March, April, May, throughout the summer after that. So I'm going to talk about 2 situationals here today, and I'll wrap up with our thought you should know moment. I'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the show one last time. So as I mentioned before, we're going to talk about a couple of situationals here as we get ready to kick off our travel ball seasons. Again, baseball, you guys are hot and heavy already with school ball here in Georgia. So the first situation I wanted to talk about is we've got a runner on third base, less than 2 outs, and that batter gets walked, and he or she wants to go straight from home to first to second. Okay. And I want to talk about what the defense is going to do in that scenario and what the offense is going to be doing as well. I guess you already know what the offense is doing, but what are the options per se? And I'm kind of, if you're watching this on video, I'm kind of smirking about this a little bit because there's always a little bit of confusion on the side of the defense when it comes to this. Like nobody knows what they want to do here. And my team included. And so I know like my first practice, which is going to come during spring training weekend, this weekend actually, we're going to work on this immediately because I want to make sure that because we've kind of got a group of new players, so to speak, because of the overhaul that we had last summer with our 10 graduating seniors. And so I want to make sure everybody's on the same page with that. But the options, obviously, from a defensive standpoint, like you can just one let it happen, right? Let it happen, which more times than not, that's what ends up happening is that you just kind of let it happen. Because again, this is with less than 2 outs. With 2 outs, a lot of folks don't just allow it to happen. But with less than 2 outs, catcher just throws the ball back to the pitcher, and you just give her second base, and now it's second and third, right? Or you can throw down to second and try to get her out, or with the understanding that shortstop or second base, whoever is receiving the ball there, they're either going to try to make a play at the bag right there, or they're going to be on a read, see what the girl over at third base is doing to see if they need to make a play at home from there. Or the catcher snap throws down to third base. Maybe she pump fakes to second, throws it to third, whatever that looks like. Okay. So again, there's some scenarios that you can have on that front on the defensive side, but on the offensive side, which you guys know at this point, if you've been watching the show, like I'm a very aggressive coach when it comes to the base pads. And on the offensive side, that the runner at third base, you got a couple of options as well. One, you can stay home, which usually, if that's me, if I know that's what we want to do, I'm whispering in our players' ear. I'm like, listen, you just stay right here, don't move at all, and just let whatever plays out play out. Usually, that's with a slower runner on third base. Or if you've got relative speed or above average speed, you can be on a read right there, and you can read that situation, see what the defense is going to do, and decide to either stay or go. Right? Those are your three options. You're staying home for sure, or you're going to read and stay, or read and go. And that read is very important because you're reading a couple of things, right? You're seeing what's about to happen with that. What is the catcher going to do right there? Because I always say, do not get snap thrown at third base by the catcher. Like that is worst case scenario in my opinion. Okay, you can't get out at all. Like you got to be either safe at the plate or safe at third. And if you're going to get out of the plate, it better be because of a great effort and a great play by somebody else on the field defensively. Okay, but you can't just get thrown out at the plate willy nilly like that. But anyway, the person that that got walked. Okay, your job right there, and this can be on a first and third situation too, which I'll talk about this in a second. But if you got walked right there, your job is not to go straight to second base and run into an out. Right, that is not the purpose of that play, so to speak, that maneuver. Okay, you either need to go to first base, round that bag, see what's going to happen. Right, we're not going to stop now. We can't stop in the middle of the bag if that pitcher is looking at us and she's in the circle and she's not making a move. Of course, the look back rule comes into play on that front. But if you keep moving, whether that's walking or running fast, whatever, you keep moving and you try to make your way to second base. If they're not going to throw the ball to second and make a play on you, then boom, get there as fast as you possibly can. Right? If they are going to make a play on you, now you want to work your way into a rundown, right? Make sure that you get yourself into a rundown and give that girl at third base an opportunity to have a read, right? To have an opportunity to score and to be able to, see if we can either we can score her and get you to second, or score her and you get back safely, to first base. Either way, whatever works on that front. But, best case scenario right there, obviously, is you're standing on second base and our girl just scored, right? We want that. Worst case scenario, we want you on first base only and she just got to stay at third base. But we don't want anybody getting out in that point because honestly, that is that's a scenario as an offense where we have a true opportunity to win in 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 every case. We have a true opportunity to win. Like, nobody should get thrown out on that front. So that's situation number one. Situation number two is a first and third scenario with the base runners. Okay, and when I think about first and third right here, I'm thinking about this from the offensive standpoint as well. And again, kind of the same scenario, if you will, like of what I was just kind of talking about there. But with the first and third, though, you want to make sure, one, that everybody is on the same page with what we're doing. And again, like I said, this is a little bit same situation here, but I wanted to kind of separate the two, mainly because that jump for you at first base, one, it does not need to be early. Like, you don't need to put yourself. It's not a risky situation to be in, right? So you should never get called for leaving early on first and third. That's one thing to think about. And then number two is take off. Take off fast. Okay, that's the big thing that I want to clue in on right now. Is if you're at first base on a first and third situation, take off fast, but be looking at the catcher. This is the only situation where I'm telling my girls, take a peek, right? Like, the whole field probably knows, like, okay, she's probably going to steal here because I just told her to take a peek on her way. Like, literally, I say that out loud. And that's not being disrespectful to the opponent or anything like that. That's just me not trying to be sneaky about anything. I don't need to give signs for that. Like, just take a peek on your way. And the only thing I'm telling her right there is take off full speed or 95% speed, whatever, while also looking at what the catcher's going to do. And if she comes up ready to gun you down at second base and releases, and you know for sure you're not going to make it there, so on my team, unless you're, Rope, EJ, Shayla, somebody like that, right, where you can get there for sure, then you need to put on the brakes quickly, and boom, we're right in that rundown situation again, seeing what's going to play out. If they're going to try to get you, hopefully that runner on third base can make a move, a good enough read to be able to get back to the plate, or you can get back to first base safely or whatever, stay in that rundown long enough. So again, those are the two scenarios, two situationals that I wanted to go through here with you guys today as we wrap up the show. So hopefully those make sense to you. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight. I'm going to talk about a few more of these. I'm going to make the situationals segment a thing over the next few weeks. That way you guys can we can have just some conversation here about those scenarios, and also maybe you have a different way of handling those. I want to be able to add that, to the show as well, giving you guys some opportunities to answer some polls on our Instagram segment as well, as we begin to post some of these here in the future. So hopefully the show has been great for you today, guys. I'm going to wrap this show up with a thought you should know moment. And this isn't something necessarily that I saw this week. This is just a thought that I had. Again, I've been in Fort Lauderdale this week, the last few days, and I was just thinking about this as I was prepping for the show. And I know that this is a time where some of those seniors who didn't sign early back in November of last year, they are wrapping up their commitments, they're wrapping up their offers and things of that nature. But what I find the most, guys, is that everybody wants an offer, right? Everybody out there that wants to go play at the next level, they want an offer. But do you want the 6 a.m. workouts, right? Do you want the classes from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.? Do you want the practice again at 2 p.m.? Do you want the mandatory study hall at 4 o'clock? Do you want the film study at 6 p.m.? Do you want the bedtime at 9, 10 o'clock every day during the season? Because that's what comes with the offer. And so my point there is that with that honor of the offer comes a great responsibility of the work. And so any of you guys looking to be part of the 7%, which the 7% are the 7% of high school softball players who go on to play collegiately. If you want to be a part of the 7%, then you got to make sure that you want the workload. You got to make sure that you're excited, you're eager, you're ready to take on the challenges that come with that offer. Because with that offer comes money, comes, certain advantages to being a student athlete in general, certain privileges, right? Again, a great honor. There's a lot of pluses to that offer as well. There's also a lot of work that comes with that as well. So Anyway, guys, I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that adds value to your life. I hope you continue to striving to be the best version of who you can be, and I encourage you to be more each and every single day. But we're gonna sign this show off like we always do, guys. So please let all you do be done in love, because at the end of the day, that is truly what makes the world go around. Thank you so much for tuning in once again, and we'll catch you next time.